Hi, I'm Hiranti. Thanks for joining me. Do you know all good presentation have three parts: a beginning, a middle, and an end. All sections are important, but we often focus most on the middle and the bulk of the presentation. The core message should be a thread throughout your speech, but it should also be particularly emphasized at the beginning and at the end. So, if you are looking for a guidance about how to start and how to end a presentation, keep on watching. There are numerous different ways to start a presentation, but they all have the same single and simple purpose. What is it? Yes, capture the attention of your audience. Before you get into the meat of your presentation, you need to trigger interest. First impressions are always important, especially in the world of presentations. So, how do you grab attention from the very beginning? First, thank your audience. A genuine show of gratitude is a great technique when considering how to begin a presentation. It portrays sincerity and encourages a welcoming group feel in the room. Thanking the audience is strong welcome. It introduces you in a positive light. Your listener will be more willing to pay attention to somebody they like straight away. The second is create and memorize a great first line. The first line of any speech or presentation is often the most daunting. That's why you should make sure it's strong and powerful. Spend time rewriting and editing your first line. Then spend more time learning it off by heart. Memorizing the first few sentences will also help your confidence. Even if you don't know the whole speech, trusting in your first few lines will steady your nerves before you dive into the rest of the presentation. The best presenters might not learn their entire speech, but most of the time they will have memorized their first and last words, and they will have practiced them to perfection. And then ask a question. Start speech with a series of a question will get the audience thinking. The style and the content of the question make it clear what the rest of your presentation will be about. So you will be introduce your talk perfectly. Even better, we know you will go on to answer your own questions, which makes us want to listen to you even more. This is a useful technique for when you want to know how to start a presentation on PowerPoint. Visually support your question with a slide asking it. A strong slide with a single sentence will let the audience absorb the question and give them time to answer it, even if only in their own thoughts. After that, tell a story. Storytelling is a useful technique for many presenters. Often, a whole presentation might revolve around a story. Other times, smaller anecdotes are used to enhance the message, but starting a speech with a story is a great way to grab attention. If you've done presentation often, maybe you can do this thing. What is it? Telling a joke. Humor can be a great way to lighten a room. It presents you as fun and likable. It might also relax the audience and steer their attention. But telling a joke can sometimes be hit or miss. You need the right level of confidence and a joke that is not alienating or offensive. And don't forget, use a quote. Using a relatable and relevant quote can be a great way to start a presentation. It gives a level of authority to your words and allow you to develop upon the message of somebody else, especially if the quote is from a well-known or celebrated person. It can help your audience relate to your content from the beginning. By the end of your presentation, you want your audience to have understood the purpose of your message. You should bring them back around the core of your speech. Hammer home your main point and let that single strong message be the last thing they hear from you. Make it memorable and powerful. There are many effective solutions to end a presentation speech, which I will describe next. So, how do you end your presentation? First is, call your audience to action. It's not enough to assume your message will inspire people to take action. You need to actually tell them to take action. Dee Clayton, a motivational speaker, public speaking trainer, and author of Taming Your Public Speaking Monkeys, shared her insight and experience. The call to action is this preferred method of closing a speech. She said, summing up the action you want your audience to take is a great way to finish up. And to do this, it's best to use a two-pronged approach. Start with a negative motivation. Help them see how bad things will be if they don't do what you are suggesting. And then finish with a positive motivation. Paint a picture of how good things will be when they do what you recommend. Second, refer back to the opening message. Closing a presentation with a look back at the opening message is a popular technique. It's a neat way to run off your message while simultaneously summing up the entire speech. There are a few ways to approach this technique. First is, set up a question at the beginning of your speech and use your ending to answer it. And finish a story you started using the anecdote to demonstrate your message. Third is, close with a summary. If you've already explained your content well and in an engaging way, there is no need to summarize the content again at the end. Dee Clayton says. She's right. There are far more powerful ways to end your presentation. However, it might be necessary if your message is particularly complicated or your speech is a long one. The last, make it clear that you've finished. Nothing is more uncomfortable than the deafening silence of an audience working out if you finish. Your closing word should make it very clear that it's the end of the presentation. The audience should be able to read this immediately and respond, hopefully with applause. And now, let's conclude. To start your presentation is thanking your audience, create a great first line, ask the questions, tell a story, tell a joke, and use quotation. And how to end it? Yes, call to action, refer back to opening message, close with summary, and make it clearly you have finished. So, those are some ways to start and stop your presentation effectively. Good luck on your presentation!